commission meeting to order. It is 5:30. He had turned them on, so I think we're off now. Let's see. There we go.
Earl Green. Okay. Thank you.
I don't have a plan commission agenda. I don't know if there's any business from any plan commission members at the moment. But if there's
I think you
none-
were absent at the last meeting. The Bealers are here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
To discuss their property down on Central Street.
Sure.
They were here a month ago. It's been a month. And discuss, they're wanting to put a outdoor storage, like boats, campers on their property. And
Behind the house.
behind the house there. And I've looked through the book here, and I don't know the correct way to proceed with this personally. And but that's what they've requested. Be it a zoning change. If you read through, it's currently zoned agricultural. And agricultural doesn't permit
Right. So it'd be
that storage. It does permit farm storage, but not,
so it requires zoning change.
yes.
Usage.
The only thing I could find under special exception uses under the agricultural section was commercial outdoor storage of farm materials is what it states. And then it also has a special exception use for farm and equipment sales and store service. But I don't find anything in there with outdoor storage.
Does Atlanta, it's been a long time since I've looked at the ordinances, and I made a mistake of giving my copy to somebody that was supposedly gonna buy the house there before my daughter bought it. But as I recall, Atlanta had 3 commercial zoning, C1, C2, and C3. And what was a little different of Atlanta versus the way the county does it, like for instance, I have a C3 property in the county, and I have I lease to a car lot there, and I have an outdoor storage facility. And the county allows the uses up to C1, C2, and C3. But as I recall, unless it has changed, Atlanta's ordinance was more specific. You have C1 uses, C2 uses, and C3 uses. And so if you have C3, you can't do C2 or C1, right? And so on. So I would think that, you know, anytime you say the word outside, that it would require a higher zoning. You know, probably the C3, because I originally, when I had all 10 acres there, was going to make 5 2-acre lots of C2, because at that time, it met all the requirements. It was an arterial road. We had 200 feet of frontage. And what I was thinking was a place for contractors or whatever to have a pole barn and keep their equipment or whatever, just because, you know, there's a need for that. But that was quite a while ago, and then the economy took a nosedive.
Sure.
And the vote was actually the same, and then the board flipped over, and Gary Roush called me and said, if you want to do that, you can. And then I thought, well, gee, I don't know if I want 10 acres zone commercial and just pay the higher taxes, and, you know. But the question at that time was, you know, well, why do you want the zoning before you do something? It's like, well, if I don't have the zoning, then they won't cut. But then, you know, that the board changed, and they were all willing to do it, but I shied back on it. The property does have a little bit of commercial history back when they sold antiques back there in the barn way back then there in the day. And my daughter currently has commercial, you know, a variance for her business there. But that does not include the 2 acres. And the main question, there's so much going on with this. We both attended the meeting last week at the middle school
Mhm.
to try to get a better idea of what's going on. And then we met personally with Steve Dellinger, you know, because it's two different sides to these stories. And they painted a picture how the commissioners are the bad guys and all this, and that the utility, you know, it wants to get all these permits, and they're asserting that maybe the commissioners are in bed with the utility company and all this, and it's all hearsay.
Right.
My experience has been that the county has been good. I've always represented myself, and as long as you're not doing something that's crazy or offensive, and I've never generated a complaint ever. It's a pretty low intense thing when people just come to get their camper or their boat. Typically, most people don't even camp more than 3, 4, 5 times a year. And with their boats, they just want a place usually to put their trailer in the summer, you know, and this and that. So it's not it doesn't generate a lot of traffic or noise, or there won't be any need, as we discussed last time, for Atlanta to give us, you know, run a water line or any of that stuff. Lighting, I know your concern was that we screen events, and you wanted to hear, when are we going to do that? And I couldn't give a definitive answer. Just like with this annexation issue,
Right.
I would be curious. I don't know what the difference between the tax rate and farm and Atlanta is, but everybody knows that farm tax rate's extremely low, and changing. But you know, if it's unimproved property, no buildings, no nothing, it may not be that great of amount. And helping Atlanta would be fine, you know, in that case, because of course you want the tax revenue coming for that. If things are a little backwards in the fact that I bought that property because it had every city utility in place, and it was 10 acres, and I thought some small developer at some time. I bought it in 2003, but the wheels of progress sometimes go slow, and then the economy sort of took a dump in 2008. But now there is some more growth, and just looking around, neighbors don't really want to see that stuff in you know, let's say somebody wants 3 boats. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Riverwood. And for some reason, they're having a 25 or 40-year-old boat sitting that doesn't run, it's never going to run, sitting in your yard is like an ornament for them or something. And it might help, but we can complement each other in the fact that you can say, well, there's a place to go, which we know there's another alternative, but they're pretty full. But we plan on being affordable. In fact, I named mine Affordable Outside Storage, and I'm under market rate, and I know Jacqueline would want to do the same thing. And assuming if we could get this as it progresses and has actually got some income, then, you know, fencing and all that. As I recall, the C2 requirement that I was going for talked about so many trees per so much. We don't want gravel. Gravel makes dust. I'm a firm believer in asphalt millings because they don't generate dust and they drain well. You get 53s with shaker in it, it's like concrete. You got puddling everywhere. Nobody wants that. So, you know, but I don't know. Well, I'm sort of running all over the place on this, but I just sort of want to lay it out on the table.
Sure.
And if you have any questions or whatever, as far as this, I can speak from experience. I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I've not generated any complaint. I have been surrounded by neighborhoods with HOAs, and I've generally just serviced the community that's immediately around me. Atlanta's sort of out here, you know, and it takes time. The lakes aren't close by. You know, it could take years for it to get a lot of people, let's say.
Right.
But in the meantime, in the interim, she's moved, and she's got a great tenant. They're in their 40s, they're gonna mow. They've agreed to take care of all that, do that. So Dave doesn't have to come down and do that. And they're both, got great jobs. You know, I don't think she could have got any luckier with getting good tenants. I've made some mistakes in the past. I've tried to come to
Sure.
no youngsters. But anyway, so, but the fencing and all that, you know, we're of course open to the idea and would like to do that. If nothing else, just so people feel safer about that. Mine is completely fenced and I have an automatic gate with the code and all that stuff. Because really to attract people, especially if you're remote, safety is gonna be one of their big concerns.
Sure.
And at the same time, we don't want kids playing around over there or whatever, so as soon as it was feasible, you know, we would like to screen it, but I don't know what the I can't recall what the C3 was for screening, but the C2 requirement was not a lot of burden. You know, so many trees, so, you know, every so often and this and that. Which I would recommend, like the fir trees or something, you know, that wouldn't lose all its leaves in the wintertime, because it can actually, you know, serve as pretty good screening all on itself, not be super costly.
Yeah, there is a C2 and a C3, and C2 asks for, it says a privacy fence. C3 does, as you mentioned, on the outdoor storage, indoor or outdoor with screening, is what it says, so. Like I shared with you the last time you were here, this process is completely new to me.
Sure.
So I wish I could just tell you the next step, and hopefully with all of us sitting here, we can figure out what the next step is, so we can,
Well,
you know.
initially, because there's the barn and the house and all this, we would start to where nobody would see anything anyway. It would be immediately behind that. And I can't say how much demand there's going to be, you know, and I think we would be flexible, and certainly if anybody was complaining, but if the town said, you know, you've been there 10 years, let's do something here more, or whatever. Not that we would have to wait 10 years, but I'm,
Sure.
you know, if there's only 4 campers there,
Right, yeah, it's
you know,
not
you
gonna be
know.
very profitable with
Yeah, well, that's
thousands of
just
dollars.
it. I mean, we're taking a risk, but we're not farmers, and
Right,
when I bought that property, the weeds were 8 feet tall on the whole 10 acres. Somebody bought it as an investment, their brother died, and he was and the guy just let it go. And I mowed it, took care of it, and made friends with Doug Stoops pretty quickly, a light old cheap rider, and it broke down, and he borrowed his trailer, he didn't even know me, he'd only seen me there one other time.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
you know, I thought that was great, you know, that you have a
It would have
area
to
where
be
people
either C2 or C3.
can still be that
I don't know
friendly,
if that's gonna work for me.
and ever since then, we've always got along, so.
I'm gonna make copies of this too. So,
Besides screen air, are there any other concerns that come to mind?
well, C2 and C3 both have setback requirements. Number one, I'm not sure what you're talking about, how big of a lot, or
It's 2 acres, but
is it already a separate parcel, or are you gonna break it off?
no, it's already separate, and then the 1 acre is most of the frontage, and then there's about 40 or 50 feet where it would serve as a driveway. So the front setback off Central would automatically be probably a minimum of 100 and some feet that way. From the sides, she owns the acre that, and all the way back to where the cornfield is, so, I don't know, is it a 50-foot setback, or did they
It's
express?
40 plus a buffer yard.
Okay, so that still leaves plenty of room.
Which buffer yard's an additional 10. and it has to have trees planted in it. One deciduous canopy tree and one needled evergreen tree every 30 feet of contiguous
Okay, yeah, I
boundary.
remember it.
And all trees must be planted within 5 to 15 feet of the property line. You want a copy of this?
Yes, please.
How many acres did you say that was?
It's 2.
2?
3
Then she
total.
owns the 1 acre that's
Okay.
north of that.
Just looking at C2 versus C3. C2 is a minimum of 2 acres and C3 is a minimum of 3 acres.
What the part they're going to be using for business is on 2 acres, so that kind of forces you into C2.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it has to be changed to commercial though.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. C2 is a commercial
Yeah.
zone.
Last meeting, you guys thought maybe it could stay on agriculture.
Yeah, and after reading through that, it doesn't permit what they're wanting to do. It was only farm storage was all agriculture would permit. I know I had mentioned that at the last meeting about staying agricultural, but after reading through this, no, that's not permitted, so.
Appreciate that. Take care of that.
Marie, do you know the process to switch from agricultural to commercial? Is that just a vote, or is that a application of some sort?
Yeah, I think there is a process of notifying neighbors and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure on that because I've never been a part of one. But, sure it says it in here somewhere. So building. General zone. Um, so it's a 2 acre property.
Right.
No, it would have its own access, its own drive and all that. Are there any buildings on it already, or is this a?
No, they're all
it's a
off
different
the
part of it. Okay.
It looks like C2 is the perfect fit for it.
Sure.
Because if it allows automotive sales, this isn't near as intense as automotive sales.
So the problem is, we could do this, but then if it's one of these special exception uses, that's a BZA thing. They would have to grant a variance for that, as far as I understand it. It's an allowable special exemption, but so then that requires getting, for sure, that requires getting, notifying neighbors and then going before the BZA.
When I
And
talked to Kevin, he said this was not fair. Can I explain the whole situation?
rezoning's not him, but, I just lost the word.
Variance.
Variance is, yes.
Okay.
So, I don't know if there's I guess there's no way to really know if you would be successful in that process. You probably would.
Well, I'm just curious, under permitted uses, I mean, this is pretty short list here, but they're pretty intensive uses. I mean, because it's not specifically listed.
It is specifically listed in the special exception uses, though.
Oh, for outside storage?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Business, general business, yeah. Outside storage facility shall be enclosed with a privacy fence.
Okay.
So you're right. It would seem like a body shop would be more intense than outdoor storage. However, it is an enclosed, it specifically says those are enclosed in a building.
Okay.
So, I think that might be part of the reason those differ. Also, none of us had anything to do with writing any of this.
Sure, oh my
It
God.
may or may not make sense.
I
but
assumed it
it's-
was adopted
you know.
from somebody,
Yeah,
because it's basically the same as it has been.
So on C3, it's under permitted uses, so mini storage facility. Is that what's happening?
I think they consider mini storage like what you think of as storage, a place with the mini garage doors.
Inside.
Yeah, inside storage kind of a place, or indoor, outdoor, however you would consider that. Because it's in the special exception, there's indoor or outdoor with screening, so that would be just general storage.
Okay.
To me, that fits closer to what you all are talking about.
But that's a 3 acre.
Right, and that would be a 3 acre minimum, and there's different standards for C3 beyond that as
Well,
well.
sometimes you can get a variance if you have like 2, because she actually has 3.
Should,
But,
well,
and some of that,
we wouldn't rezone if you don't
Okay.
meet the standards. I mean, we can't. These are the zoning standards for that type of property.
Okay.
So you could potentially get a variance once you have it zoned a certain way. But I'm just saying, I don't think that we could reasonably zone something when it's not even close to the size it's supposed to be.
but on the C2, it would fit.
Sure. Yeah.
The 2 acres.
Yeah, no, that's 2 acre minimum, so
Okay.
you would fit that if it's 2 acres.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that's the route we have to go, but you know how it is. Nobody can stand for somebody else to, seems like, do anything different or whatever, to where, what distance do you, on your adjoinder list, what distance do you have to send out the mailers?
I don't know. So we're gonna have to find out more about this process. I don't know anything about this other than that I heard that you all might want to rezone part of your property or
Right.
at least change use of some of it. That's all I know. And I don't know if any of you all had looked into this at all.
I've just
Since meeting
read
with
since the
them
last
before.
meeting. I've
But I
tried
guess
to,
we need to find out more about it, when it's even possible, and then what that process is. So I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
if
okay.
this meeting is a
I've
waste of your
gone through
time.
this with county, as I mentioned.
Sure.
And they have, you get it at the courthouse, a property adjoinder list, and they have so many feet. I think they require 200 feet. But if, really, the only people I could see that would even possibly see it are just anybody that's on Central, that's on the west side of the street there. The neighbor that they sold the 2 acres to. And then there's another house to the north that I think Lee used to own that has 3 acres on it. And I know Alan owned it after that. I don't know the name of the people that own it. But to me, because they're the only ones that could even see anything,
Sure. Yeah.
then technically the farm that would be to the east, since they're an adjoining property owner, and the person that bought the 5 acres to the south. But I think
I'm not
That-
sure anybody would object. I just think we have to notify them and make sure they don't, because we have
Yeah.
that problem. By approving something, the neighbor's saying, oh, I don't want this here. We'd have to
Yeah.
go that route.
so many times people don't understand. Every time I've had to put up a building, there was a lack of communication from the people we sent the notices out to. They wouldn't call the plan department. And all I was doing was putting a glorified 3-car garage and attaching it to my front office. And the rumors, my sister-in-law lives in the neighborhood, it's in the Deer Path area. And they were saying I was gonna come on their property, cut down their trees. And everybody got all wound up about nothing. And then 3 or 4 of them showed up at the meeting. And when they saw what it was, they'd already signed up to speak. And the first guy walks up there with his hands in his pockets and says, looks good to me. And so much of the time, it's just lack of understanding. People don't know, but we always want to be good neighbors.
Sure.
I've owned up here since 2003, and it's a wonderful little town. My grandsons play ball on that field. My son is umpired over there.
Sure.
But we don't want to do anything that we would think would be offensive or whatever. And so much, like I said, we don't even know if we'll get any business.
Sure.
Maria, is there a way to, not expedite this, but to not have to wait for another month for another planning commission meeting, but,
We could set a meeting date, but I think what they want more than anything is answers to questions right now. Is that right? Like, what would this process even be?
Yeah, it's,
So if I can get that information to you, if I can talk to our attorneys
Certainly.
and we can get that to you, at least you'd have a better understanding of if it's even the process you want to try to go through. And then based on whatever you say there, we could set a plan commission meeting. Does that sound fair?
sure.
I just wouldn't want to
Okay.
have to wait
Yeah,
a month every
We don't
time.
need, you don't need to waste another month of your time. Like
Right.
you at least need answers.
Right.
If that's okay with you, I'd like to talk to our
Well, as
attorney
long
and
as-
try to get a better understanding of the process so that I can relay that. So
Does
you
the
know.
boundaries I just talked about, does that seem like they're the people that should be notified?
I have no idea. It makes logical sense, but I have no idea.
Okay.
It's going to be whatever the requirements are. So we're
Because
not.
that falls under
Yeah.
different.
Well, either way, we're not going to make it up. Like it's good. There's already a standard for it, so that's
Okay,
what we'll follow. I just don't know what that standard is. So,
okay.
but it's probably along the lines. I mean, you've done this before, so you're probably thinking along the lines of what it is. But I
Right.
just don't want to tell you wrong.
There's
Right.
another gentleman.
Okay. Can I work on that? And I'll get
Okay.
in touch with you all like in the next week and a half, something like that. Is that okay? All right.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
Thank you.
letting us figure out what we're.
Yeah.
Right.
It's,
We don't really know either.
That's
So,
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
It's not
welcome.
really all that bad. I mean, I've had to do it. I had to get a variance every time because my property, it was 2,200 feet deep and only 100 feet wide. And
Yeah.
so my setbacks, to put up any kind of building, it's like if they wanted 50-foot setback, it's like, well, 50 and 50, there's nothing. So I always had to get a variance. But it's not really that bad, at least working with the county, it never was too burdensome.
well, thanks. All right. Somebody else have plan
Yeah, I
commission
think,
business?
the gentleman in the second row there.
Okay.
You here
Yes,
to
sir.
address planning commission? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do. What are you?
I was here on, by the request of Rick.
Okay.
I guess the interim superintendent at the time, for the town planner.
He's a building commissioner.
Bill,
Yeah.
my fault.
Yeah, that's all right.
He had mentioned that it would probably be, very good to, come in, and talk with, the commission, based on, kind of, the home community. I
Okay.
guess he had mentioned that you guys may have some questions about it. He thought it'd be a good idea for me to stop this.
Well, I appreciate getting to see you, and I'm glad that you're here. I don't have any questions. I trust that you're planning in accordance with what our ordinances are and the zoning and everything.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we met with HCSO earlier today.
Sure.
The way that it sounded on the phone call was that there were some outstanding questions or some concerns that may need to be addressed. And that's why I was coming tonight. I just wanted to make sure if there are any questions or concerns, we could, talk through them together.
Do you want to talk just brief overview of what you're trying to do?
Sure. The purpose of the project is to finish the unimproved portion of the mobile home community off of Indiana. I think we have at this point 16 sites, all over 5,000 square feet. They're full served with electric, water, and gas. We're working with HCSO right now on drainage. Ultimately, we're going to, we proposed a detention basin on the west side of the property inside the easement for legal drain, which we're talking with HCSO to gain non-encroachment for. It's 16 feet wide on the drive aisle. We're proposing one way for the 3/4 turn section, just to kind of mitigate any traffic hazards and issues. Other than that, we're trying to keep everything as simple as possible. We're not trying to tear up a bunch of stuff. We're trying to keep as much of the grass, in place as possible can. Obviously, we're going to be doing some tearing out for detention basin and putting the roadway base, but other than that, we're trying to minimize as much as we can.
Are these all on the outside of the loop,
These are all inside of the
inside of the driveway loop?
Yes, so the driveway loop is actually being realigned because the current driveway loop is actually sticking into that legal
Easement
drain
point.
easement
On the
by about
west
30
side.
feet or so. We're actually clearing that out. There's also 2 structures that are there that are currently more or less, they're pretty much full of sediment. Our plan is to actually take those out, cap those off, so those are no longer entering the regulated drain and application of the blind tap, and instead taking that water, putting it into the proposed detention basin with a controlled orifice weir on the south side that will tie into, they call it structure 10. It's whatever that southernmost large 6-foot diameter structure is.
What's gonna happen to the one that burnt? Is that gonna get repaired or pulled out or
There was one that burned.
at the
The
end?
one on the very end of the
Yeah.
road, there was a trailer that burned out.
And
On the south side.
I was not privy to that knowledge. Okay, I will talk with our client, who is the property manager that's holding that, and see if they have any ideas. If so, I'll be happy to send those on to the council and see what they have to say.
So you're moving the roadway on the southern side, you're getting rid of that, or you're moving it a little bit north to get off of the easement?
Yes, so we're shifting everything kind of north and east.
Okay.
And then we're also taking out the second entrance that's closest to Jackson and Indiana, that
Okay.
odd little
Yeah.
corridor. We were looking through that, and it just made more sense from a traffic pattern standpoint to try to minimize any access there, plus the one that's coming from the top, from the north.
Okay.
Just to clean things up and hopefully have a little bit of safety to that corridor.
So all new homes will be on the inside of that.
All new homes.
And you said 16?
Currently at 16 lots.
Is it back to front on both sides of the loop?
I
So
believe so.
eight
I
on
have
each
a
one?
plan set, but I can meet with you if you'd like.
If you would, please.
Oh, absolutely. I brought one just in case I didn't know if
Thank-
anybody shared it.
I'd love to say.
You dropped a set here at the last
Last
meeting.
time.
We've actually got it. I just don't think any of us have had a
There's
chance
a set
to.
over at the
garage. Okay.
the garage too.
Okay.
Absolutely. And by all means, feel free to reach out if there's any other questions. If I need to come back up here for a special council meeting or anything like that, absolutely do it. We just want to make sure everything's in the loop and we're playing nice to your guys' sandbox.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no other specific questions for him, do you have anything that you need from us?
Not at the moment, as long as everybody's seems to be okay with it at this point, or
Mhm.
since there hasn't been much conversation yet.
Would you mind saying your name again?
My name's Adam Hoffer.
Okay.
I'm with Vitrion.
I just wish there would be some kind of decision about that trailer though, and
I was not aware that had burned, so, I mean, our job is really the engineering and surveying for the project at hand, but I'll definitely make that report, if they are not aware of that, see what they can do about that. Is it the one at the very, very back end?
Yeah, it's on the south side, pretty far to the west.
Okay, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I know that that's also encroaching inside that blueprint, so I'm not sure what all. I don't know what the cameras.
I know it's not your deal, but it is something
It's
that
not my
we're
deal, but
curious about.
I will see if I can figure out some answers.
All right, well, thank you. All right, we've gone over here. Is there a motion to adjourn our plan
I
commission
make that
meeting?
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.